Football, in its most beautiful and cruelest form, is not merely a game of tactical formations or structural configurations. It is an unyielding, chaotic theater of human emotion, psychological warfare, and raw survival. When the final whistle blew at the Mexico City Stadium, a heavy, suffocating silence fell over the passionate home crowd, juxtaposed against the exhausted, defiant roars of the traveling English side. It was a match that defied conventional logic, a round of 16 clash that will be remembered not for its fluid elegance, but for its sheer, agonizing drama. For 90 minutes, plus a lifetime of stoppage time, these two nations tore into each other, leaving pieces of their tactical souls on the pitch. The scoreboard read 2-3 in favor of England, but that numbers alone cannot begin to tell the story of a night where the tactical game plans of Thomas Tuchel and Javier Aguirre melted away under the intense heat of survival. It was a chaotic display where 23 Mexican shots were neutralized by 5 clinical English moments, a night of red cards, video reviews, and an atmosphere so tense it felt as though the stadium itself was holding its breath. The immediate emotional fallout was visual and visceral, with Mexican players collapsed on the grass in disbelief while 10-man England embraced in absolute relief, realizing they had just survived a footballing execution. To truly understand the weight of this historic encounter, one must dive deep into the narrative arcs and psychological burdens carrying into this tournament. For Mexico, playing a crucial knockout match in the historic surroundings of the Mexico City Stadium was supposed to be a crowning moment of national redemption, an opportunity to break the historic curse of the round of 16 that has haunted El Tri for generations. The media pressure on manager Javier Aguirre had been immense, with an entire nation demanding that this generation of players finally step out of the shadows of past failures. On the other side, Thomas Tuchel's England entered the pitch carrying their own historical trauma, burdened by decades of high expectations, tournament near misses, and the constant, cynical skepticism of the British press. The psychological weight on senior figures like Harry Kane was profound, as questions about legacy, international silverware, and leadership in hostile territory dominated the pre-match build-up. This specific match mattered deeply because it represented a clash of cultures and survival philosophies, the structural, systemic pragmatism of European football colliding head-on with the emotional, high-pressing, and fluid identity of Latin American football. The tactical stakes were raised even higher by the hostile atmosphere, forcing both managers to balance their deeply engineered systems against the raw, unpredictable adrenaline of their players, knowing that a single mental lapse would mean a devastating exit from the world stage. The tactical battle commenced long before the referee blew his whistle, with the match initially delayed due to severe, adverse weather conditions, a disruption that immediately tested the mental focus and warm-up routines of both squads. When play finally began, the structural intentions became clear as Mexico deployed a fluid 4-1-2-3 formation, looking to control the midfield anchor space, while England lined up in a structured, compact 4-2-3-1 block. The tactical intensity erupted in the very first minute when Declan Rice triggered an aggressive press in the central transition zone, mistiming his tackle on a surging Mexican midfielder and receiving an immediate yellow card from referee Alireza Fagani. This early booking forced England's double pivot to play with extreme caution, compromising their ability to break up central counterattacks aggressively. Recognizing this vulnerability, Mexico began utilizing their numeric superiority in midfield, patiently circulating possession and looking to isolate their wide attackers. In the 15th minute, this sustained possession yielded the game's first major opening when Jordan Pickford was forced into an incredible, diving save to deny a powerful, low-driven header from Raúl Jiménez following a well-engineered half-space overlap. Mexico continued to dominate the ball, pinning England into a deep defensive block, but their high line left vast spaces behind their fullbacks, a structural flaw that England's technical wingers were desperate to exploit. In the 26th minute, Anthony Gordon illustrated this exact danger, embarking on a brilliant, vertical solo run on the counterattack, cutting inside past 2 defenders before unleashing a low-driven shot that Raúl Rangel did well to parry away. Despite Mexico controlling 66% of the ball, England's clinical execution in transition completely altered the psychological landscape of the first half. In the 36th minute, against the run of play, Bukayo Saka demonstrated his elite technical quality on the right flank, isolating his fullback before executing a high, curling cross into the penalty area. Jude Bellingham, recognizing the space between Mexico's central defenders, made a perfectly timed late run into the box, connecting with a precise header that flew past the diving keeper into the inside of the left post to open the scoring. The tactical setup of Mexico's defensive line had failed to track the late runner from midfield, a mistake that completely broke their early momentum. Before Mexico could mentally regroup, England struck again in the 38th minute through a masterful piece of direct combination play. Harry Kane dropped deep to act as a false nine, dragging a central defender out of position before executing a sharp, incisive pass into the path of Jude Bellingham, who showed clinical composure to finish from close range into the bottom corner. Down 2-0, Mexico had to find an immediate tactical response to avoid total collapse, and they found their lifeline in the 42nd minute. A sustained phase of crossing resulted in a loose ball inside the English penalty box, where Julian Quiñones reacted fastest, driving a powerful shot into the roof of the net to make it 1-2 and completely reignite the stadium. Mexico pushed for an equalizer before the break, with Raúl Jiménez missing a close-range effort and seeing a brilliant, looping header tipping over the crossbar by a flying Jordan Pickford in stoppage time, ending a breathtaking first half. The second half began with tactical adjustments, as Javier Aguirre subbed on Edson Alvarez for Cesar Montes to provide better structural security against England's central counterattacks. The match reached a chaotic turning point in the 53rd minute when a dangerous challenge by Jarell Quansah was flagged by the VR room. Following a lengthy on-field review, Alireza Fagani returned to the pitch and brandished a straight red card to the English defender, completely throwing Thomas Tuchel's tactical blueprint into disarray. Tuchel reacted immediately, sacrificing Bukayo Saka to bring on John Stones to restore defensive stability in a compact low block. However, before the newly organized defense could settle, Mexico committed a disastrous defensive error of their own. In the 58th minute, during a rare English foray into the attacking third, Mexican goalkeeper Raúl Rangel committed a reckless, mistimed foul inside his own area, giving away a clear penalty. Harry Kane stepped up to the spot in the 60th minute, displaying absolute ice in his veins as he smashed a perfect penalty into the left side of the net, extending 10-man England's lead to 3-1. Despite the 2-goal deficit, Mexico used their numerical advantage to completely suffocate England, bringing on creative players like Santiago Jimenez and Brian Gutierrez. The pressure finally told in the 67th minute when Gutierrez was brought down in the box, triggering another lengthy VR review that resulted in a penalty for Mexico and a yellow card for Marc Guehi. Raúl Jiménez stepped up in the 69th minute, coolly slotting the ball into the bottom left corner to reduce the deficit to 2-3. The final 20 minutes plus an incredible 13 minutes of stoppage time became a brutal test of endurance, featuring multiple yellow cards for dissent, including bookings for Johan Vasquez and even Jordan Henderson on the English bench, as England threw everyone behind the ball to survive a relentless Mexican onslaught. When the dust finally settles on this historic night in Mexico City, the analytical reflections will center on how structural pragmatism managed to overcome an absolute statistical dominance. For Mexico, this defeat will bring a painful period of introspection, as their failure to convert 23 shots and 12 corner kicks into a victory exposes a critical, ongoing lack of clinical execution at the highest level of international football. Javier Aguirre's side played with incredible heart and tactical fluidity, but their defensive vulnerabilities during transition moments ultimately cost them their place in the tournament. For England, this gritty, 10-man survival will be viewed as a defining, character-building milestone under Thomas Tuchel, proving that this squad possesses the defensive resilience and mental fortitude required to navigate the agonizingly thin margins of knockout football. However, the suspension of Jarell Quansah and the immense physical toll of playing with 10 men in such high intensity will undoubtedly complicate their tactical preparations for the upcoming quarterfinals. Looking at the broader picture, this match forces us to look deeply at the changing nature of tournament football, where controlling possession no longer guarantees defensive security or offensive efficiency. It leaves us with a profound, lingering question about the core philosophy of the sport, a question that will surely dominate discussions for weeks to come. Is it better for a team's long-term success to build a system that dominates the ball and generates an overwhelming volume of attacking chances, or is the ultimate mark of a championship team the clinical, cold-blooded ability to suffer in a low block and maximize every single modern transition opportunity?